No matter how trashy the girl might be, her honor had to be upheld against the Negro. What angered many of the townspeople most was Atticus's attempt to truly defend Tom. Atticus and his children had several threats aimed at pressuring them to let things stay as they'd always been in the South. But Atticus felt Tom was innocent, and he would do all he could to prove it. Every lawyer gets at least one case in his lifetime that affects him personally, he told Scout. Nevertheless, he had to be realistic. They would probably lose, he explained, because they had been licked 100 years before they had even started. But that was no reason not to try. Atticus then extracted a promise from Scout not to fight her friends at school, a difficult promise to keep. She heard her father called nigger lover, and she herself, for the first time in her life, was labeled a coward. But Scout stayed true to her word. Her father rarely asked for favors. The day of Tom Robinson's trial dawned hot and droopy, but it still seemed everyone in Macomb was packed into the courthouse. Sheriff Heck Tate was the first witness. He testified that on answering a summons from her father, he had found Mayella at her home, her head bloodied, bruises on her arms and neck, and her right eye blackened. She claimed to have been beaten and raped by Tom Robinson. Sheriff Tate added that he personally felt Mayella had been battered by a left-handed person. Her principal wounds were on her right side. The next witness, Robert E. Lee Ewell, Mayella's ne'er-do-well father, described coming home to find Tom attacking his daughter. He had run Tom off, he said, and fetched the sheriff. Just before Mr. Ewell left the stand, Atticus demonstrated to the jury the fact that Bob Ewell was left-handed. Then Mayella Ewell testified. Through careful questioning, Atticus was able to paint for the jury the type of life Mayella led. The welfare check never went far enough. Her father drank most of it up. Her many younger brothers and sisters were always dirty and sick. There was never enough food or clothes, and the family rummaged through the dump to find their belongings and food. Mayella was a lonely girl trying to make the most of a miserable situation. The final witness was the defendant himself, Tom Robinson. As he took the oath, it became obvious to all that his left arm was totally useless. It had been mutilated in a farming accident. This gentle, hired hand could never have beaten up Mayella Ewell. Atticus concluded his closing statement using Thomas Jefferson's words, "All men are created equal." All men aren't created equal, he argued. One individual may be faster than another. Some people are gifted beyond the scope of most men. But in one arena, this country presumes that all men are created equal in their rights before a court of law. Despite the many hours the jury spent deliberating, Tom Robinson was declared guilty. Though Atticus tried to describe that they would probably win when the case was appealed to a higher court, Tom was left without hope. Only a few weeks later, as he tried to escape from jail, he was shot and killed. But the episode was not yet closed. Bob Ewell's anger still smoldered. Atticus Finch had made a fool of him, and he publicly vowed revenge. School started that autumn, and life slipped back into the ordinary. For Halloween, the ladies of Macomb decided to produce an original pageant at the elementary school, and Scout was assigned the role of a walking, talking ham, ingloriously costumed in chicken wire and brown paper. After the pageant, she waited humiliated backstage with Jem until everyone else had left. Then the two started for home. It was dark, and Scout couldn't see much anyway because of her costume, but she could hear. Someone was following them.